Hi, my name is Mr. Goodell, and today I'm going to show you how to set up your drawing for a one-point perspective interior that is a one-point perspective room on the inside. I'm going to match up these opposite corners with a straight line. Now I'm going to draw my lines a little darker so you can see them in the video. You should be drawing your lines lighter, really light. So of course it's easier to erase when you do need to erase them. It's perfectly fine to erase. Got my lines made there. My center is marked by those lines, and that's where my vanishing point is going to be. Next, I'm going to measure out from the center 1.5 inches. Now you can go just 1 inch or you can go up to 2 inches. It's your choice. Now I'm going to make my corner match my vanishing point there, measuring from the center. Flip it around here. Do this side too. The thing you want to keep in mind though is you want to make sure that your ruler doesn't wander off like that it is lining up with that vanishing point, and that you're going to the same mark each time, whether it's 1 inch, 1.5 inches, 2 inches. If you're having trouble reading the ruler, this is 1 inch right here. This is a 1/2 inch, and this is a 2 inch mark right here. If I flip this ruler around, you see there's a little less lines. Maybe your ruler looks like this. Still the same thing. 1 inch mark is long, 2 inch mark is long, and the 1/2 inch mark is longer too. We're not going to pay attention right now to the smaller marks unless you need those. There you go. Then I'm going to match up my dots with lines. This will represent the back wall. And just do a little quick check. I make sure my ruler is parallel with the edge of my paper here. Make sure it's not off. If it's off, if you find out one of your lines is slanted or whatever, that means your measurement was off somewhere. Okay, sometimes people get 1.25 inches, or maybe they start out with 1 inch, but then they accidentally did 1.5 inches. So make sure you check those measurements there. I have my back wall. Now I'm going to erase the inside lines here. Hopefully you drew your lines light, so this is really easy to erase. But of course, leave your vanishing point in the center. That is very important. The lines that go into space will use that vanishing point. Now I'm going to start by adding a door here. So this represents the ceiling, 2 walls, and floor. I'm going to put a door on this side. And I just make sure my ruler is matching the edge of my paper there. I'm going to start where the wall line and the floor line right there, up. And then I make my door about this tall. You can make it a little taller. You can make it really big. You can make it shorter if you want to. And then people go, how do I make this other line? Like, I'm going to go ahead and just line it up parallel with my edge of my paper, but then people ask, should I make it real tall or shorter? When do I know when to stop? I just make it longer. I know that's way too long. I can always erase extra. Now I'm going to create the top of my door, line it up with my vanishing point because this line goes into space. Here's the top of my line right over here. Bring it over, just like that. Of course, again, I could just erase any extra that I have. I'm not worried about making lines too long. I can always erase those extras. Now I'm going to make a window on this side. Come over here. I'm going to make a really big window. Could be a poster. It could be just a hole in the wall, whatever you need it to be. Again, make sure it's parallel with the edge of my paper there. It's a big line right there. Now these lines will go into space. So I'm going to use my vanishing point. Line it up. Sometimes people get it off and they think it's good enough just to get close. Nope. Make sure it's lined up with the vanishing point. Very important to make sure it's lined up with that vanishing point. Now over here, people wonder, well, how long do I make this line? Again, you could just make it a little longer. Like I'm going to make that too long on purpose. That's fine. I'm going to close this shape off just by bringing this line over from the edge. Make sure it's parallel with the edge of my paper. There you go. Erase any extra, just like that. Perfectly fine. This could be a huge TV, poster, sign, window, like I said, big hole in the wall, whatever you need it to be, okay? Now I can do planking on the floor if I want to, as I showed in other videos. I just line it up with my vanishing point there. These could represent wood planks. Sometimes people make the mistake of just drawing wood planks going up and down. Nope, they should match up with the vanishing point like this. Now I'm not going to finish this step because I do want to show you another thing. Maybe you want to put a rug on the floor, or maybe it's a trap door, something like that. So I'll go ahead and draw that right here. Now I'm going to bring up a line that matches up with the bottom of my paper here. Just like that. Again, I'm not afraid to make my lines a little longer just to make sure I got enough. And then of course I can erase any extra as needed. There could be a rug, could be a hole in the floor, trap door, whatever you need it to be. And then of course you can do tiles on the ceiling, you can do lines on the ceiling if you want to. Maybe there's lights on the ceiling, maybe there's a skylight up here. So same principle that you did for the rug. Now you're just going to maybe make it bigger. So instead of calling this a rug on the floor, maybe we'll call it a skylight. Maybe you have a skylight at home, which is like a window on your ceiling. Maybe you've seen these in places like stores or other places out in public. Now again, I'm just bringing this line down from the top, make sure it's matched up to the top there, bring it on over, erase any extra. Here's a little trick too. People go, how do you make it look 3D, like you can actually see the wall? I just bring a straight line right up here, just like this. Match it up with my vantage point right here, and you got to be careful. Make sure that you use your vanishing point. Some people, they get into the habit of just freehanding things that should be matched up with the vanishing point, and it kind of wanders off. Using a ruler to match it up with the vanishing point helps out every time. Close it off right here. Make sure this line will match this line up here and the edge of my paper. Just like that. And there you go. You can add like clouds, make sure it looks nice there. Maybe there's some clouds floating around in the sky up here, and you got your skylight, you can put the sun up here. Now, I do want to show you one that's a little bit more finished. Here's one that I did tiles for the floor. The door is on the left-hand side this time. This also has a skylight. The interesting thing is I can actually flip this around. I can move the door down to this side of the drawing, and then now all of a sudden maybe this is an indoor pool, there may be tiles, ceiling tiles up here, maybe this is a huge TV or whatever. You could put things on the back wall. People get confused. They go, should the back wall have something in perspective? Let's put a big window back here. The back wall will not have anything in perspective because it's facing us. It's not going off into the distance. So maybe there's a huge TV back here. And basically, I'm just going to draw lines that match up with the edge of the paper there. You can see that, just like there. So then maybe this is a huge TV back here. And again, maybe you flip it around and it looks like that. Maybe this is tiles on the floor. Same kind of thing. I do want to show you an example of one that was done incorrectly. You see this is a mess. They drew too dark. They didn't use a ruler to make their lines, and they weren't using their vanishing point. You notice this line just kind of trails off right over here. It should be matched up with the vanishing point. This line should have gone to the vanishing point, so it actually would have looked more like this shape here, but unfortunately they just kind of have this line going off over here. Things are done real sloppy. You see the text over here is just handwritten. You should be looking up fonts to create nice text, whether it's letters or numbers. This door is kind of slanted over. These lines should match with the edge of the paper. So, and just overall, it's a very sloppy project. We want something that looks a lot neater like this. And this, of course, is just the start. You're going to add a lot more detail